Vidhammer Fantasy.
Welcome back to Vidhammer. This is Spudlow, and in this video we'll be covering a 2500 point dawn attack engagement between the Skaven and the Warriors of Chaos using the 8th edition rules. Our playing surface is 1 foot wider than regulation, so the outermost 6 inches on the left and right sides of the screen are considered to be off of the board. Terrain pieces consist of 2 hills and 2 forests, and a Cimmerian quicksand at the top. The Skaven win the roll for placement and must deploy their entire army first, rolling for each unit to see which area it deploys in. They start out populating the center with a unit of 30 plague monks with a plague priest on a plague furnace, along with Tretch Craventail, who shouldn't have been allowed since he's not an unbreakable character. Then 40 storm vermin with a chieftain BSB, 35 clan rats with a grey seer, and 8 rat ogres with squeal gnawtooth. Finally, they place 63 slaves with Queek Headtaker on their right flank. Both players roll for spells, with the Warriors of Chaos having a Sorcerer Lord of Tzeentch that gets Pandemonium, Treason of Tzeentch, Call to Glory, and Infernal Gateway. The Skaven have a level 1 Plague Priest that gets blessed with Filth, and a Grey Seer that ends up with Warp Lightning, Scorch, Plague, and the dreaded 13. The Warriors of Chaos start their deployments with a unit of 35 Chaos Warriors with a Sorcerer Lord, followed by 18 Chaos Knights that go in the center, then 9 Troll Proxies for Chaos Ogres on the left, and a Chaos Spawn and War Shrine in the center. The Skaven win the first turn roll, and for additional start of game elements, the Grey Seer gets 3 Warpstone tokens. The Chieftain has the Storm Vermin drink Skaven Brew, giving the unit Hatred, and Squeal Gnawtooth gives the Rat Ogres +1 attack. The Skaven move up their battle line, making room for the Rat Ogres to get through, and having the slaves end up in an ordinary forest. Well, ordinary as a forest can be that's just been invaded by Ratmen. Winds of Magic gives the Skaven 7 power dice against 4 dispel dice. They use 2 dice to cast Warp Lightning on the Chaos Spawn, but it fails to wound. The Grey Seer uses a Warpstone token to cast the dreaded 13th with Irresistible Force on the Chaos Warriors for 17 wounds. The Warriors of Chaos use a feedback scroll which puts 2 wounds on the Grey Seer, and the Backlash finishes him off along with 12 clan rats. The Chieftain keeps the unit stable through its panic check for now. The Warriors of Chaos roll for their forest that turns out to be a fungus forest, but the Chaos Warriors don't succumb to the shrooms. For movement, the Chaos Spawn jolts forward, the Chaos Warriors make a small step into the trees, the War Shrine and Cavalry move up with the Chaos Ogres trying to angle in for a flank charge. For magic, the Warriors of Chaos end up with 12 power dice against 6 dispel dice. They use 4 dice to attempt Pandemonium, but the Skaven use all 6 dice to dispel and get Irresistible Force. The Warriors of Chaos then use 3 dice to attempt Treason of Tzeentch on the Storm Vermin, but it gets dispelled with a scroll. Finally, they use their last 5 dice to cast Infernal Gateway on the Storm Vermin for 10 wounds, who pass their panic check. For shooting, the War Shrine targets the Chaos Warriors to give them +1 leadership. On the second turn, Queek fails a charge against the slaves, the Plague Monks charge the Chaos Spawn and War Shrine, and the slaves charge the Chaos Ogres, even though they shouldn't have been able to do so. For normal moves, the Storm Vermin reform to 5 wide and move in while the Rat Ogres move up to the hill, and the Clan Rats attempt a swift reform, but fail. Winds of Magic gives the Skaven 9 power dice against 6 dispel dice. They use 6 dice to attempt their only spell, Blessed with Filth, on the Plague Monks, but the Warriors of Chaos use all their dice and get an irresistible dispel. In close combat, the Furnace puts a wound on the Chaos Spawn and War Shrine and impact hits. The Enshrouded by Fog takes out 1 Plague Monk and puts another wound on the Chaos Spawn. Tretch Craventail takes out the Chaos Spawn, and the War Shrine takes out the Plague Priest, who fails to wound as he dies. The Plague Monks use their Plague Banner and re-roll misses and failed to wound rolls, with the amazing success of getting 4 wounds that all get saved. Finally, the Wrecker gets a wound, but it gets saved as well. Unfortunately, the War Shrine fails its break test and gets trampled to death by the Plague Monks, who were more interested in escaping the charge arc of the cavalry. In the lower combat, the slaves hack and claw and kick and bite for a single wound on the Chaos Ogres, who backhand the slaves for 9. The majority of the unit is busy hugging trees in the forest, so the unit is not steadfast, which leads to them failing their Snake Eyes break test. They explode and hit Queek for 4 wounds that all get saved. The Trolls take 2 and save 1, and the Chaos Knights take 1 as well. On the Warriors of Chaos turn, they make a swift reform with their Chaos Warriors and Chaos Knights to move them up on the Plague Monks as the Chaos Ogres advance. Winds of Magic gives the Warriors of Chaos 6 power dice against 5 dispel dice. They use 2 dice for Treason of Tzeentch on the Storm Vermin, who attack each other for 6 wounds, and they pass their panic check. They use their 4 remaining dice to cast Infernal Gateway, which the Skaven fail to dispel, taking out 5 Plague Monks. On the 3rd turn, the Rat Ogres charge the Chaos Warriors, while Queek Headtaker and the Storm Vermin charge the Chaos Ogres. The Clan Rats move up, and the Plague Monks turn towards the cavalry. With no casters or shooting, we move to combat. In the upper battle, Squeal Gnawtooth issues a challenge which the Sorcerer Lord accepts. Squeal gets 2 wounds, but both get saved, and the Sorcerer Lord fails to wound. The Chaos Warriors do 2 wounds, and so do the Rat Ogres. The Chaos Warriors lose the combat and get cut down as they run, with the Rat Ogres taking a wound that kills one off as they run through the forest. In the lower combat, Queek fails his fear test, but the Storm Vermin pass. Queek fails to wound, the BSB does 1 wound, and the Storm Vermin do 5 more. The Ogres take out 6 Storm Vermin, and lose the combat and their frenzy, but they pass their panic check. For the Warriors of Chaos, they charge the Plague Monks with their Chaos Knights as their only movement, and with no remaining magic users or shooting units on the board, the game devolves into a slapping match. The Plague Furnace takes out 1 knight with the Enshrouded by Fog effect. The knights put a wound on the Plague Furnace and take out 2 Plague Monks, while the horses do 3 more. Tretch does 2 wounds that both get saved, and the Plague Monks do 1 that gets saved as well. The Plague Monks lose the combat and their frenzy, but remain unbreakable. In the other combat, Queek and the Storm Vermin pass their fear checks. Queek does 2 wounds, the BSB fails to wound, and the Storm Vermin do 2 more. The Ogres put 1 wound on the BSB and take out 3 Storm Vermin. The Ogres lose the combat and fail their break test, although steadfast, and get cut down as the Storm Vermin run 10 inches. On the 4th turn, Queek and the Storm Vermin charge the Chaos Knights as the others move up. In close combat, the Enshrouded by Fog effect doesn't cause any wounds, and the Storm Vermin fail their fear test. Queek hits for 2 wounds, Tretch and the BSB each do a wound that gets saved. The Knights take out the BSB, 2 Storm Vermin, put 2 wounds on the Plague Furnace, and take out 4 Plague Monks. The Plague Monks do 4 wounds that get saved, and the Wrecker takes out 3 Knights. The Skaven lose. Queek runs as well as the last Storm Vermin, who should have fought to the death since he was the last standard bearer. The Warriors of Chaos jump right back into combat, with the Knights taking out the Plague Furnace and 2 Plague Monks. They fail to wound in retaliation, lose the combat, and get cut down as they flee. On the 5th turn, the Clan Rats charge the flank of the Knights, Queek rallies, the Spectral Standard Bearer continues to run, and the Rat Ogres turn to watch the combat. The Clan Rats pass their fear check, and the Skaven player finally realized that the unit was supposed to be Storm Vermin, not Clan Rats. but that's what you get when you proxy. The new storm vermin hit for 9 wounds, and 1 actually gets through, killing off the 3rd rank. The knights strike back for 4 wounds and tie the combat with both units having a musician, and the knights reform to face the storm vermin. In the bottom of the 5th turn, the storm vermin pass their fear check and hit for 8 wounds, but all get saved. The knights take out 9 storm vermin who lose the combat and get cut down when they run. They call the game because they actually thought it was the end of the 6th turn. With a plethora of errors committed, feel free to declare your own winner. Personally, I found the entire match to be offensive in a rather explicit nature. Thanks for watching this battle report. Be sure and check back for more videos each week. Do us a favor and subscribe, like the video if you felt aroused, and send us a message if you have any tactics or matchups you'd like to see. Till next time from the Vidhammer crew, keep fighting.